Hello everyone, thanks for dropping by and keeping me company while I rant. It feels empty when I'm complaining myself, and the looks I get from the random passerbys are really judgmental. But enough about my problems. We're going to examine the current state of the First Amendment, free speech, or as I like to call it, a free pass towards pissing others off. It is legal in the United States to say things like, I hate white people, I hate black people, women are useless whiners, men are toxic, trannies are unnatural, gays are weak and degenerate, Muslims are inbred suicide bombers, Christians are self-righteous xenophobes. We're very fortunate to have the liberty to speak our minds even when the language is so obviously offensive. Why are we fortunate? How are any of these statements productive? Why should it be legal to say in such hateful and hurtful things? We need to take a look at the purpose of language and why it has evolved into the complex tool it has become over the hundreds and thousands of years of its evolution. Why did we choose to speak? Spoken language has become our primary means of communication to express abstract thought. Oh, I can hear the cries of people disagreeing already. We did it to express primal needs like, I'm hungry, I'm sleepy, I'm feeling a little amorous, if you know what I mean. This argument is rubbish. Why learn to shape sounds to convey words for such simple things? I'm hungry could just as easily be communicated by pointing to your belly. I'm sleepy by rubbing one's eyes. I'm randy by giving a pelvic thrust or two, and if you know what I mean, could be expressed by the suggestive wiggle of the eyebrows. No, none of those things require speech. I am convinced that somewhere in our distant past, the ancestors of our human race gazed upon a sunset as they huddled in their cave and could only grunt mutely to express themselves. Somewhere along the way, after countless moments of countless years, a savant uttered something that meant pretty, and our journey towards poetry began. Language was a tool to convey ideas that hand gestures and facial expressions could not. Beauty, virtue, liberty, as well as horror, vice, and tyranny. Language became the catalyst of the human race evolving into a more than physical shell. It sparked learning, advancement, and enlightenment. It freed us to become the best and worst of what we're capable of becoming. It is Pandora's box. Language and the thought it promotes gives us the means to realize our greatest potential as well as sink into our furthest depths. Some may say, all the more reason to rein it in, reason to curb it and restrict the negative influence it creates. This is a garbage argument. There is an elegance in the nature of humanity. While there is a limit on how evil one person can be, there's absolutely no limit to the heights that humanity can ascend. The most evil individuals of humanity are those with the primal instinct to dominate, to hoard food and resources and potential mates all for themselves. Humanity's greatest enemy is that little caveman that cowered from the thunder, not the one that heard the thunder and imagined a god beating his anvil. The one that hit his neighbor over the head with a rock for that last rib of mastodon, not the one that attached that rock to the end of a stick to make a spear. Hitler was that frightened caveman. Stalin, Mao, Castro, Kim Jong-un. Frightened little men trying to compensate for the fear that the thunder outside their cave generates deep in their hearts. But I digress. Curbing speech is evil in and of itself, simply because as a whole, people are capable of discerning a good idea from a bad one. Of course, some will embrace a bad idea at first, that's a given. But as long as the free exchange of thoughts and ideas are encouraged and not discouraged, good ideas will take root while bad ones die on the vine. Language is the way we express all the abstract ideas that shape our culture. It's the spice that binds us together as humans. This is by no means an understatement. Language evolves from the common man up. The best ideas are always expressed in words that anyone that is able to read can understand. That is why memes are so effective at communicating the most subtle meanings with words and visual aid. That's why the most famous of writers are the ones that write for the most base members of their culture. Shakespeare comes to mind, for instance, Charles Dickens, Mark Twain. Once you understand that language is derived from the plumber and not the poet, it makes it easy to spot those evil caveman tyrants that dwell within the ranks of every human society. Just look for people that are trying to control what others say. It's as simple as that. Look for the person shouting, "You can't say that," and bing, there's a fascist. It's a lot easier than finding Waldo, you can be certain. The people who try to restrain language are the ones that have no confidence in the ideology they're trying to promote. They understand that their ideas are weak and feeble in the face of the unrestrained exchange of ideas between humans. Nazi Germany burned books to keep knowledge from the hands of the public. The Soviet Union imprisoned their most promising intellectuals to keep their ideas from spreading. Now we come to the reason why I made this video in the first place. I'm sure that those that are still watching understand what's up next. I can see the seeds of fascism spreading in our world culture. It isn't from the soldiers that protect our speech. It isn't from the gun-toting conservatives. It's from the young person that pokes a finger at you and says, "That's offensive. You're a white male. You shouldn't say that." Yes, in our free society, we have let malicious people with bad intentions get close to what should have been our most protected asset, our future generation. The same sort of people that huddled in the back of the cave, without a mate, fearful of the thunder while clenching a rock, waiting for the stronger man to turn his back, have taken over our educational system. Old vices return in the guise of new virtues. It was an understandable mistake. Contrary to what these craven little individuals try to tell our young, Western culture values free expression and diversity more than any other culture in human history. The proof of this statement is self-evident. Those very same professors preaching against our culture would have never been able to do so in a society that was trying to stifle their voices. If we didn't want them to express themselves, they wouldn't have been able to. We value freedom of expression and new ideas, especially in America, so much so that we embraced the viper to our chest, and lo, unfortunately, now it is bitten. Every social justice warrior, every communist, every third-wave feminist, every Antifa and Black Lives Matter member, take a look in the mirror and know that you're only able to communicate your flawed ideas because better men and women allow you to do so. You stand on their shoulders and take advantage of the culture that enabled you to have your ideas, and you spit down on them. Ask any member of the U.S. military and they will tell you, "I may not agree with the words you speak, but I will die for your right to say them." Every time you hear some entitled liberal university student shout, "You're a white male," or "Smash the patriarchy," or "You're a racist," there are 100 dead patriots who have had their blood spilled for the right of those self-indulgent cowards to spout their bad ideas. And that's okay. That is why those patriots gave their lives. Likewise, every time you hear someone promote laws against hate speech, every time you hear someone express what a good idea it would be for offensive speech to be banned or curbed in some way, that person is spitting on the very fabric of the very society that has fed and educated and nurtured them. Speech is not, by its nature, a hateful thing. Silencing speech and labeling it as hateful is the antithesis to the exchange of ideas and therefore to the advancement of civilization. I predict that the first 20 years of the 20th century will be remembered and defined by this rise of fascism in the guise of social justice. I also believe that as long as we give no more ground to those that seek to censor others, good ideas will prevail over bad ones. That is why a society formed on the basis of free speech is always superior to one formed on the basis of sheltering the populace from harmful ideas. So speak your mind. Don't hesitate to express that in which you believe. Don't let someone try to belittle you and tell you that your opinion doesn't matter because of your gender, your skin color, or your sexuality. Don't let someone guilt you into silence by telling you that your opinions make you a terrible person. As stated before, bad ideas die out because they're bad ideas. Good ideas rise and transcend the debate by becoming pillars in an open society. Much like science, no idea is bad unless it is proven to be bad. Racism, fascism, communism, mixing oppressive religion and governance, all those are ideas that most reasonable people can agree are bad ideas. I have confidence enough in the ideology of Western civilization that I am willing to place it next to anyone else's and let society decide if its merits outweigh its faults. Can those that disagree do the same thing without trying to shut down the conversation with censorship or in the form of a heckler's veto? I have yet to see any evidence that they have the same level of confidence. I wonder why that is. In closing, we as Americans are really fortunate to have a nation based on freedom. Freedom of religion, freedom of speech, freedom of self-preservation. Those freedoms are protected by the most significant document in the history of the world, the U.S. Constitution. I'd like to thank everyone again for coming and listening to my rant, and I'd like to thank my patron, Keyjolfsson, and I hope everyone has a good day. I'll see you next time.